au sang, live action, actual play, not live action. That's the thing with the buffer sorts. An actual play stream of Vampire the Masquerade. Our coterie should go around and introduce themselves, starting with Marie.
Hello, I am Wendy Weissman, and I will be playing the character Marie Suzette.
Roland.
I'm sorry,
Jim?
Yeah, I said I am playing the character Marie Suzette.
Jim?
I'm Jim. I will be playing the character of Roland.
Deanna? I'm sorry, you're muted.
Sorry, Anais is a little bit timid. I'm Deanna. I'll be playing the role of Anais Delacour.
Mm-hmm. And we have a special guest with us tonight, Mr. Cole Cash, who will be joining us as Marcellus Le Chiffre at a dramatically appropriate moment.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. My name is Cole James Cash, host of the Cole James Cash Show, and also a member of the Means TV network. And I am here today to, have some fun. And I've never done anything like this. And I just thought it'd be cool because I think this type of shit is interesting. Stuff is interesting. Excuse my language. And I'm happy to be here with you guys.
This is the big kids table. We say shit here. It's okay.
All right. No problem. Awesome.
And my name is Gabe, and I get to play their consequences. Before we actually jump into the game itself, I'd just like to say two things in particular. The first is that I want to thank Secrets of the Masquerade, both for authoring the source books that we are basing this chronicle on. They're great. You should check them out on drivethroughrpg.com. And also, I want to thank her for being the Vladislav to my Viago and the Bram to my Stoker as I plan out what is going on in this wonderful dim world that our players are going to be running around in. The second thing is that this fictional setting that we will be exploring is full of bad people who do bad things. We ourselves try to be good people and do good things, but some things are going to come up that are not going to be so nice. So this is a horror game, not a power fantasy, and we encourage our viewers to practice discretion in watching this and, interacting with us and stuff. As previously mentioned, this is the big kids table. We say shit, and that is not the worst thing that's going to come out of my mouth, at least. But we do refrain from using any slurs, and we do use the X card system. So if something comes up that someone is not just, thinks is ooh, but is actually uncomfortable about or is really unsure about, we'll throw up an X, and we'll go from there. Anything else I'm missing before we start the storytelling?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, well, let's tell a story about vampires. When most people think of Bordeaux, France, they think of one of two things. They either think of wine, coming in a dizzying variety of flavors and colors, some made with fruit from vines old as bones, old as sin. Or they think of a dynamic, vibrant city, the capital of its bureau, Nouvelle-Aquitaine, with an old quarter surrounded by vestigial walls from the medieval times, and crisscrossed with a neat little labyrinth of narrow alleys and full of little ancient architecture and then also new growth. Industrialists and students, people just trying to get by. What most people don't think about when they think of Bordeaux, France, is vampires. So, as we are starting a vampire story tonight. Let's begin as the blood of Cain, or as Republican American economic theory. Let's start at the top and work our way down. Rue Sainte Catherine is the longest pedestrian commercial street in all of Europe, actually. And it runs as an axis through the old quarter of Bordeaux. At the north end is Le Grand Théâtre, Grand Theater, and a stunning opera and playhouse that's still in use, with a water mirror that reflects its glory back at itself in the night. And at the north end of Rue Sainte Catherine are the posh restaurants and the fancy name brand stores and where the nice people go, where the people with money go. And as you work your way south along the road, things get a bit more plebeian till at the very end, at Victory Plaza, Plaza Victoire, if I remember correctly, you find a neat little square ringed with restaurants, bars, and cafes, with seating that spills out onto the square itself. And on the north end town, outside a cute restaurant, on a relatively chilly September evening, sits a woman, tall, thin, with a severely slanted bob, swirling something red in a glass. Marie, this is Neve Rosetti, and this is the place and the time that she asked you to meet her.
Good evening.
What are you doing?
And how are you?
Oh, you approach her? I'm sorry, I missed that.
I'm sorry. I had a little bit of a disconnect for a second. Yes, I approach her and I'm smiling. Bonsoir, darling. How are you tonight?
And she looks up at you as if from a distraction. Says, I'll be with you momentarily. She's sitting out on the terrace, two top. She puts down her glass, rises, and not quite bumps into a wait person. And she catches the person on the arm and says, everything was lovely. I paid. And she's speaking to the waiter. Everything was lovely, but the salmon was a bit underdone. My compliments to the chef, though. The bill is on the table. And she walks away, not having left any money at all. And the wait person kind of smiles. That was a nice compliment. She looks down at the salad that she had been bringing to Nev's table and realizes that she doesn't know why. She should probably just bring it back to the kitchen because no one's sitting at that table and they've already paid. And Nev makes her way out of the restaurant, winds her way through the tables to meet you. And she says, shall we? And she begins walking north. And as she walks along with you, remembering perhaps half a minute too late to put on her coat, it is chilly. She says, Marie, I may owe you an apology.
What for?
Well, I don't apologize for much, but I do to my friends. You took me quite off guard when we first met. I was not expecting a single word that came out of your mouth.
I do engage in the unexpected sometimes. I don't blame you.
I may perhaps have been a bit rude. If you're my friend, I would apologize for being so rude. And with some consideration, I don't suppose there's any reason we can't be friends. What do you say?
I would love to be your friend.
Well then, Marie, my dear, I apologize for my attitude when last we spoke.
I'll
Shall we
probably
to the
be
theater?
Yes.
And she travels north with you to the Grand Théâtre, where the Camarilla Court at Bordeaux has its formal gatherings. Meanwhile, at the other end of Rue Sainte Catherine, in front of a bar called El Bodegon, Roland and his friend Istvan approach the door. It's a pretty lively happening bar. They're seating outside. All of the lights are on, very warm yellow light. Inside, you can see there's a lot of bare brick and bare timber, but polished. And the maitre d', the host, asks how many. And when you say that you are there to meet Theodore, he goes, yes, of course. Monsieur is just upstairs. Please follow me. He hands over his pedestal to someone else to mind for a moment, and he walks you through the bar to a wide set of stairs in the back. He motions for you to enter past the two really rough-looking security people there and go upstairs. At the top of the stairs, the brief landing opens up immediately onto a room that takes up probably most of the second floor, with areas here and there sort of divided with furniture, some couches, some chairs, low tables. One interesting display of potted plants along a window. And in sort of the main central set of couches, in front of a TV that isn't on, are gathered maybe half a dozen people. And coming toward you from this little group is a man who looks to be in his maybe late 20s, maybe early 30s, a little bit of a short goatee. And he says, "Roland, how did such an ugly Irishman end up with such a handsome French name?"
Well, the original owner wasn't using it, and I figure if I'm already dead, I might as well take it. Grunts like us call it cannibalizing.
I never know what's going to come out of your mouth, mate. He goes to embrace you and give you les deux bis, 2 kisses, 1 on each cheek. That is customary in this part of France. And remembers, that's not how you do things. And he goes to shake your hand instead. Come, let me introduce you to our primogen and one of my very dear friends. And he takes you back to the gathering. There's a stocky man kind of sitting on one of the couches, kind of watching everyone else, not really interacting. But as you approach, Mike catches his eye and he stands, and he's average height, but just kind of built very broadly, with a distinct black stubble and long black hair, like something out of a metal band. And he says, "Theodore Jacobs, may I please introduce my friend Roland? Roland, this is Theodore, our primogen and a hell of a guy." And Theodore extends his hand.
Pleasure.
"It's nice to meet a friend of Mike's.
Anyone who's a hell of a guy by Mike's standards is all right by me."
Kind of you to say. You barely know me. I don't suppose he's told you much of what's going on.
He's told me that there's been some problems that my skill set might be of use in addressing.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, and things have developed, I expect, since you last really since you were last able to get a real update from him. We've got a few different irons in fires, as it were. And I know that we could use all the help we could get. I invite you to stand with us tonight as a clan, should anything unfortunate come up at Elysium, at court. we'll see how the prince responds to some of my decisions recently. To exposit a little bit, you know that Theodore, Primogen of the Bruja clan in Bordeaux, has encouraged recently his clanmates to begin seeking out likely candidates for new embraces to fill in the ranks of the Bordeaux court after the recent attack by the Sabbat. You also know that he did this of his own volition as a primogen and without the prince's consent.
So inter arma inem silent legus.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And you know that, well, Mike has informed you that in this court, all embrace rights go through the prince. He granted clemency and ratified certain embraces after the fact, after a bizarre little coup during World War II. But since he has been in power, he has not been a fan of the idea of free embraces. That's a power that he has reserved for himself and not just handed off to his primogen. So we'll see how that goes. And before Mike can really, before Theodore can really tell you more about what they've got going on, tall, muscular woman definitely works out, definitely does not skip leg day, with a very short, almost military, kind of chic military haircut, comes, taps Theodore's arm and says, sir, it's time to head out. And Theodore says, right, yeah, well, shall we? Allons-y. And the cadre of Bruja in Bordeaux leave El Bodegon and begin walking north along Rue Sainte-Catherine to the Grand Théâtre and court and maybe a fight. Now, one vampire in a sea of mortals, like a busy pedestrian street, or in the early evening, maybe some folks would notice, some folks would pick up on a certain air that they would want to avoid. But to see an entire group, a pack, if you will, of vampires and their attendant ghouls, headed with purpose in one direction, no one stands in your way for very long. And further south, past the end of Rue Sainte-Catherine, and a little bit closer to the river, is a train station. And pulling into the train station is a train, weirdly enough, with a private compartment reserved by two women, Anais and Joan Sarno. And Joan turns to Anais. Anais, it's been 3 years since you came this way, and the last time you saw these lights, these tracks, your train was headed the other way. Your train was headed to Toulouse, away from Bordeaux, away from a lot of confusion, a lot of pain, and a lot of blood. And Joan catches your eye and says, "C'est bon? Everything okay?" I'm sorry, you're muted.
Anais says, "Take one."
You know it's okay if it's not. There was a lot going on, and you left in kind of a hurry last time.
I'll be fine. It's
Well,
just everything has always been changing for me. I'll just be fine. Might as well deal with the whole other slew of changes, I guess, John. That's just.
You're very brave to come with me. I do appreciate it. Here is the address of the hotel we'll be staying in. I've made special arrangements for us to have a very safe room. Our luggage will be sent ahead so that we can just go to court and get the worst of this over with. We are going to be crashing a serious party. We may not be shown the warmest welcome.
I've never had a warm welcome anywhere. How do we even know that the room is going to be safe?
This is a question that every Black woman should be asking when she travels.
Joan, not exactly realizing the racial context of what you're asking, says, this particular hotel did some good work during the Nazi occupation. I made sure to get us a room with a back door, if you will.
Sounds stable enough.
And of course, the heaviest curtains they have, and in a very discreet part of the building. I've also canceled all offers of room service, of housekeeping. All right. And she asks, as the train shudders to a stop, any idea what you would say to Urbane?
Urbane? I haven't even thought of him until now that you mentioned him. I wouldn't know what to say to him. It's better off for me to just stay by you and just not be seen at all with this at all. Yeah, I just don't want to be seen here at all. Let's just get this done with.
I hate to push you, but we need to make friends here. It's very important. You'll be able to speak and move more freely than I will be. You may even recognize some faces.
I'll try my best. I'll try my best, but I know, but you know, and I know that my friendships don't really last that long.
Well, let's see if we can change that.
You know, I just want to say, you know what I mean? I don't mean to interrupt. Actually, I do. No, you have to understand, Anais. It's just like that, man. Megan Thee Stallion beefing with Asian Doll right now. They ain't known each other long neither. It's bad right now. You know, this is just the way of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why you smiling, because you seen it. You seen it, bro.
And Cole, are you ready for a brief intro?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I'm ready for all that while I'm here in the office.
Awesome. And so while all of this is going on and everyone else is heading to court, to the Grand Theater, you're actually just in the lobby of the building, in with a press of humanity, a throng, and you're still new enough to unlife that it is still a little bit strange to you that being this close to this many people makes your blood race, not because there's energy, not because this is living, not because this is the work you do, this is what you want, but because it makes your mouth water a little. all these beating hearts, all these little bumps of ambient warmth.
And they're extra
To
pale.
just a little bit.
Extra pale faces because we vampires.
Well, no, you're in amongst a bunch of living people.
It's a new
You're in
level of whiteness, man. This is. I wasn't ready, bro.
No, you're in amongst a bunch of living people.
Oh, well, it still applies.
Yeah. Oh yeah, still very, very white, especially this crowd.
Oh yeah, but I like white people. I like white folks, man. You one of the good ones, man. You know.
Oh well, I do appreciate that. That's what every white man wants to hear. You're one of the good ones.
Yeah. You know, we flipping the script. You know, we flipping the script on y'all. You know. But yeah, please proceed.
Yeah. So, before you are taken by Laura Novo down a little kind of side hallway, most folks are here for a benefit concert, just a collection of musical pieces and songs from some actual musical plays, as well as some more classical opera, as a benefit for rebuilding Le Grand Théâtre after a recent terrorist attack by ISIS. I forget exactly how to pronounce it in French, the French term for that particular group. But so that's why most people are here. You, however, are here with your sire, your caretaker. And before you go down the hallway to where court is happening, she stops you, she straightens your jacket out and says, just remember, you have no idea who Annabelle is. You've never met her. I embraced you, and it was 3 days ago. This is the first time you'll be introduced to anyone else here. No one is going to recognize you, and you're not going to recognize anyone else.
So hold on, let me interrupt here. So
yeah,
my
please.
character is supposed to be like he has a pretty, not prolific, but known career as a DJ. So I just came into this with no clout whatsoever. Like nobody know who I am. Like nobody.
Yeah.
Because
So
hold on, you said I know you came here talking about everyone came to make friends, stuff like that. Like, what if let's say proverbially I showed up just for the house? Like, don't you think this is interrupting my ability to integrate myself into my own personal ambitions?
So out of character, the situation is that you're not supposed to know anyone as a vampire. You do have some fame as a musician and as a political personality. I'll say
Okay.
locally, like in the area, people may recognize your name. People may recognize your face. But the point she's making, and she's actually not thinking of that. She's actually quite nervous about this whole thing for various reasons. But the point she's making is that you have actually met a small handful of the people that are going to be there tonight. But everyone is going to pretend like they haven't actually met you. It is entirely possible that some of the folks at court will be able to say, hey, wait a minute, didn't you DJ at the Fabrique a few weeks ago? The Fabrique being a local, very popular club. You might get someone saying, I read your blog and I've got this opinion of it, stuff like that. But people who you have actually sat and talked with over the past 2 weeks are going to act like they don't know you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this is some real bougie shit going on. It's good.
Exactly. Yeah. She's tried to prep you a little bit for this event. It's
so hold on. Did she say this isn't the fucking BET Awards? Okay, you need to act. Did she say that?
She did not. She has been dealing with a lot, and like honestly, so you met her before the Sabbat raid, the Sabbat attack, and she
Okay.
was a fairly friendly, open, maybe a little bit funny, not real sassy, maybe a little bit funny kind of person. And since that attack, you weren't at court that night. You were out with Jerome. But since that attack, she has just gotten somber and serious. You know that she lost a very close friend and she's in mourning, along with the other vampires from her coterie, namely Jerome. And oh, actually, no, they lost two people that I think of it. They lost two very, very good friends. So out of five, all that's left are Laure, who you're with, Jerome, who is basically he's basically a zombie now, not a vampire. He's just kind of coasting along, it seems. And a woman named Claudia. They were a very tight group. And they had two other friends, Annabelle and Thomas, who you had met, and they are gone now. Final death. Not coming back. And also, you know that the whole court, everyone is very anxious because the last time they got together like this, they got massacred. And Laure's job as Elysium Keeper is kind of to make sure that everyone has a good time and play host, kind of. So she is nervous about how this might go.
Okay, I can see the anxietal angle. You know, I mean, Let me tell you something. Man. If Jerome got killed and it was France, that was a white man named Jerome. We can't be having that, man. You know, I never even met a white man named Jerome. Everyone that's white that's named Jerome is like some scholar, like like you open a book and it's like he got a white wig on and it's from the 1600s, man. So that man might have been important.
But yeah, Jerome is still with you, and Claudia is still with you.
I rescind that previous comment.
Yeah, but that's okay because well, anyway, moving right along. So she makes sure you're presentable and takes you into court, and you are, of course, among the first people there because she is Elysium Keeper and supposed to be playing host. And when you walk into the sort of ballroom that has been set up with, again, a few small sitting areas, some tall cafe tables, and a low stage at one end with in front of large windows looking out over the city and the river Garonne. So in front of the windows is a low stage. You know that there's going to be a string quartet here tonight. And as you enter this grand room with all its gold light, what do people see?
You're asking me?
Yeah. What do people see when you and Laure walk in?
I think that they see that I'm swagged out than a motherfucker, man. You know? Like they don't know me as a vampire, but they do know me as my pronoun known as that nigga.
So you're like medium height, dark skin.
I would say.
Meanwhile, like all the. Sorry.
Oh
Go
no,
ahead.
I would say that yeah, I'm medium. I'm about because in real life I'm 6'3", so I'm just gonna go with that. But yeah. I being dark skinned, you have to understand, man. I'm light skinned because I'm mixed, so it's like this is a whole new dynamic that I'd be entering in.
Yeah.
Like this means that my entire emotional makeup as a man has now changed. And so this means that I'm calm, I have it together, everything that allegedly light-skinned brothers, if you log on to Twitter, are not. So I'm very happy about this description. And they see, let me tell you something. Anytime I walk in anywhere with a female, that people know, they're like, oh dang, So let's just, I don't even care if you wrote it that this one was not attractive. She looked like an IG, she looked like an IG model. Okay, no matter what. I just wrote this. This is my new rule.
Yeah. So, oh gosh, hold on, I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to throw you off, man.
Yeah, actually, Laure is in her. She looks like she's in her late 30s. Blonde, kind of a French braid tonight. Very neat, very tidy, kind of a mom do though. Black dress. Everyone is wearing black. This is a memorial concert.
So she looked like Lisa Ann.
I'm sorry.
She looks like a performer named Lisa Ann. I'm with this.
Okay.
You said mom like figure later. Yeah, that's good. We can do that. Don't Google that name.
Okay. Great. And so she kind of starts making her rounds in the rooms, greeting folks, introducing you. And she is actually about to introduce you to a tall man with broad shoulders, but really kind of a narrow waist, like blonde, very like rich white man hair.
That's what's up.
Face kind of like mine, but thinner in the cheeks.
So are we talking like swagless rich white man hair like Elon Musk, or are we talking somebody that got it together, you know?
I would say Elon Musk with slightly better hair, just slightly.
I don't respect this man, but continue, please.
No. But so she's about to introduce you when Marie Suzette and Neve Rossetti show up. And I've already described Neve. Marie, what do people see when you come into the room?
Well, they see a petite woman who looks to be in her early 20s, brunette with like kind of curly hair, wearing kind of like ornate but very elegant sort of old world pearl, diamond, and emerald jewelry. Even though what she's wearing is clearly like made out of modern fabrics and everything, she's wearing like a black dress. The silhouette of it is kind of evokes the old world. But yeah, she's a fairly attractive woman who looks to be in her early 20s. And once she enters the ballroom, it is noted that her fangs start extending slightly.
Showing up in style, ready to party? Mm-hmm.
Yes, very much so. But of course, she is dressed in black, as this is a somber occasion. Mm-hmm. So she clearly has a sense of propriety.
And you and Neve barely make it 2 steps inside and sort of assess who is here when Neve is set upon by a statuesque blonde woman with like serious movie star hair. And she's dressed, you know, it's a black dress, but it almost looks more like a cocktail dress than any kind of formal wear. And she says, Neve, have you seen? They're letting just anyone in here these days. And she kind of pivots and leans into Neve and looks in the direction of the Bruja clan that has taken up a position around one of the coffee tables and with some of the chairs. They seem to kind of be keeping themselves. And Neve says, why, Alicia, that's so generous of you to consider the Bruja people. And Alicia says, the Bruja are fine. I'm talking about the Irishmen.
Her time will come.
And then she sees you on Nev's arm, and she beams bright and says, Alicia Vanden Street, Queen of the Harpies. And Neve says, now, Alicia, what have I told you about that pride? It'll make your head look fat. And Alicia says,
if I were as pretty as her, I'd have a bit of pride too.
And Alicia, like without missing a beat, without dropping a breath, says, "And your envy is bad for your complexion, Nev." And Nev gives her just this little, fuck you too. Without those words, though, it's all in the looks, all in the expression.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's fine, darling. Like, you know, if I were as pretty as her, I would be a little bit proud too, you know.
And
probably like,
Alicia says, "Oh, I like her." I'm sorry, what's her name?
Marie Suzette. It's a pleasure to meet you. Enchanté.
And Roland, when these two harpies and their new guest sort of turn, and like you can feel the mean girl energy sort of wafted your way. What do they see?
Roland is about 6 foot even, probably a solid 210. Very, very in shape. He's wearing a black trench coat and black combat boots, very well shined. You can see that they are very clearly taken care of. His face looks like he's clearly been through a lot. There's a scar over his eye. His nose looks like it's been broken at least twice. Some other nicks and scrapes all over. You can tell that he's seen and done a lot. He has kind of a neutral expression that's halfway between depressed and disappointed.
I want to give you a big shout out for like embodying all these, you know, traits in the way you look right now, because the way that your lighting is and how you got like extra pale, man. Like, bro, you're making me sad right now, man.
I just wish that I didn't have as many gray hairs. Roland appears to be in about his mid-20s, so not a gray hair on him, just a shock of red.
Bro, Anais got a gray wig on, man. You good, man.
And so Alicia has taken a shine to you and sort of tries to lift you off of Nev's arm and start taking you around and not introducing you as much as gossiping at you, pointing people out, spilling a little bit of tea. And as that's all sort of going on in the background, Marcellus, Laure says, "My Prince Boyer," and the white guy with the bad hair, with the okay hair, turns. He was talking to Owen with very neatly pulled back hair in a very professional looking skirt and jacket combo. And he says, "Yes." And Laure says, "My prince, may I please introduce to you Marcellus the Chiffre, my child? Marcellus, this is the Prince of Bordeaux, Jean-Baptiste Boyer." And Boyer extends his hand and says, "Marcellus, it's a pleasure. Welcome." We've lost Cole for a moment. We knew that this would happen, so we'll just get back to that as we can.
I think I'm back. Just a moment.
Okay.
Let me keep in mind I'm on work internet, which is normally very excellent. Not even joking with y'all, I've literally like played Destiny and online fights of UFC when I've had to be here for 24 hours straight because of emergency stuff. So Don't worry. If it's good enough for gaming, it's good enough to hold on to this. So don't worry, we're good. We're good.
All right. So the prince extends his hand and says, "Marcellus, it's a pleasure to meet you."
Yeah, that's what's up, you know. But here's what I did though. So you guys can't see me, but I shook his hand in a very black way. Like I took it and then we snapped the fingers. We did all that, man.
Yeah, he's a little bit confused by that. He's not sure what to do with that, but he accepts it graciously. And he says, "I can't say I'm afraid that I've heard much about you from Laure. I was a little bit surprised by her request to embrace you." And Laure looks at you, and there's this tension this very slight tension around her eyes. And if it had words, it would say, "Don't say the wrong thing."
And if you're asking me not to say the wrong thing, you really should have thought about that before you requested anything from me. Because at that point, I'm like, so you the Prince of Bordeaux. You know what I'm saying? So how you get that name? Like, how did all this happen? Like how does one? I just start asking a bunch of dumb questions. That's like totally me and my character. So whatever anxiety she has, it's probably justified because she's been around me enough to know that I said a lot of stupid shit.
And actually, at these questions, the prince smiles and he says, "Well, it's a traditional title more than anything, really, in the Camarilla to sort of organize our society or our groups in a local way. We name one person sort of in charge, and because of when the whole system was created, we use the term prince. Certainly, I do not come from any sort of aristocracy or anything like that.
Nor do you play any instruments.
Oh yes, the American, yes. Fine fellow.
Can I just say that Marie overhears somebody mention Prince and she suddenly gets very excited?
That's what's up.
Did somebody turn Prince? I heard he died. Is he here? And she says this to Alicia. Is he gonna play Let's Go Crazy? Like I had heard he died, but if he's a vampire now, I'm thrilled.
And everyone is how do I want to play this? The group, everyone present has a reaction, has some opinion of what you're doing and saying. And Laura has actually excused herself, Marcellus, to sort of gather everyone to sit for the concert, and left you to talk with the prince. And she has begun to go around and sort of invite people to sit down. When two more folks enter, and you can tell by everyone's reaction that no one was expecting them. And Joan Sarno, who is actually quite short, but has a lot of oomph to her, has a lot of presence, in a very Katie Lang kind of haircut, black pantsuit, good heels, steps in with Anais de Griffencourt. And Anais, when people turn to assess you, no, I'm sorry, Anais is not de Griffencourt, that's Marie Suzette. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on Anais's last name. Something with C's. We'll come back to that. Anais, as everyone turns to say, "The fuck are these people?" as it were, what do they see?
They see Joan, an elder woman, and a sort of timid vampire, herself. They see. Well, they generally see that she has tanner skin than probably the rest of them, but it's not uncommon. Generally, they just see this very timid vampire who appears very mysterious, but they don't really know what's going on in her mind or anything. And as they kind of stare, because Anais doesn't like people looking at her, she kind of just hides behind Joan and does what she can to just stop the people from just staring. She just closes her eyes and just presses her forehead against Joan's back because she doesn't want to deal with all the people staring.
Mm-hmm. And as Law moves to talk to you both, Alicia turns to Marie and says, in a whisper, "Oh no, run everyone. it's a vampire.
She is
And
the cutest little vampire I've ever seen, though.
she is. Not to read character sheets out loud or anything, but Anais does have 5 appearance, which is the most beautiful any given human will ever be.
I need to interrupt here. I need to interrupt. So this means that she got that. I mean, she went to the Korean nest, to the Korean hair shop. You know, her weave is on point, man. Like she has, you know, that's not a wig she wearing. She's got real Indian hair going on, you know, and it's just that's why she's smiling around. She know what I'm talking about, you know. This means that there's just certain, even the small things, because even the small things about her appearance. I'm just assuming that her character black. Is that is correct,
She's
right?
got
You
the
are
red bottoms. She's got the red bottoms.
yeah, exactly. You know, she rocking red bottoms, man. It's just there's just little things that Marcellus will notice about her appearance, you know. And I mean, she's so beautiful. Even I gotta fall back. I'm like, man, I'm a little stupid to white girls, you know. I ain't got the confidence, you know. Like, you know, it's that's where I'm at right now. Okay, continue.
Yeah. Anais, does that sound about right? I'm sorry. Deanna? Does that sound about right for Anais?
Yeah, that sounds about right. The irony of her being one of the most seen people but doesn't want to be seen. So yeah.
Yeah.
But Deanna,
Yeah.
hold on, Deanna, what I said about the hair is easily the most important thing because that's what we all get judged on, even myself. Like everywhere we go, other black people. If you notice, guys, I'm gonna interrupt. You ever notice how in rap songs we're never talking about anything else but impressing or degrading other black people? We're not concerned with anything else but dumb shit that we're doing, you know? So the hair thing and all that, like, that's serious business. My hairline is receding, and I've just accepted this because I'm just gonna get roasted, so I'll just take it, you know? So that's why I mentioned the hair first, man, because we be catching hell. Okay, continue.
That's okay. And Laura approaches, and Anais, you do recognize her. She doesn't seem to recognize you at first, and as she approaches Joan, who is clearly the one more in charge, and says, I'm sorry, this is a private gathering, invitation only. And Joan says, I'm very sorry. I thought that court in Bordeaux was generally open. We heard that tonight was the night that there would be formal court. We are from Toulouse, and we wanted to pay our respects and, express our condolences to the prince. But I'm very sorry. You know how harpies are. They only tell half the story ever. And Laura's just kind of nodding politely. Mm-hmm. And she turns and looks at Boyer, who gives a very slight nod. And Laura turns back to Anais and Joan, and then kind of blinks at Anais. Pardon me, did you used to live here?
Anais just quickly just says no and just turns her head. No, I've never lived here.
I apologize, must have been someone else. But considering the circumstances, and certainly you've come all this way, please join us. You are welcome. And she says that loud enough that she wants to make sure that everyone in the room hears that these 2 strangers, uninvited, have been made welcome. Everyone is gathering and sitting for the string quartet. The musicians enter from a side hallway, from a side door. They set up. They play a lovely set. Lots of older stuff, older selections, nothing newer than the 1930s, actually. Anais, this all seems very dated and boring to you. This is a lot like a lot of the parties that your parents would throw. That's actually exactly what it reminds you of. And you were always expected to just show up and be a charming child. While the music is going, is there any quiet conversation that any of you would like to have with your hosts?
I'd like to lean. Can I lean over to Niv and I maybe just start asking her to outline members of the court to me? You don't have to go into detail about it,
Sure.
but I'm just trying to take note of everything. And I ask her about some of the people that we are mourning, so that I'm not going to be embarrassed with my ignorance at tonight's festivities.
Yeah, and she's happy to quietly fill you in. Let's see. Notable people include all of the Primogen, the formal clan representatives at Privy Council. The only one that isn't present is Lyle Kirsten, who is the Tremere Primogen. She says that he's a bit of a droll person. The party is not lacking, or the evening is not lacking for his absence. She also points out that you've met Alicia, and there is one other harpy, the sort of gossip mongers and accountants of favor and reputation among Camarilla court. So there's Nev, there's Alicia, and there's one other whose name is, I'm blanking on right now, but he's a Tremere. He's a tall, kind of thin, not like skinny, but just thin-bodied person. Bullet bald head, and perpetually scowling. His first name is Griffin. So those are the three harpies. There's the Primogen, there's the prince, of course, and his secretary, Celine, who is the woman with the very neatly pulled back blonde ponytail and the very formal jacket and skirt. And then, let's see, other prominent people. There's Laure Nouveau, who is the Elysium keeper for this particular Elysium. There are two other Elysia in town. Elysium being kind of a vampire clubhouse. A court will assign places as Elysium where there are a few rules, and everyone may, if chalices are available, everyone may feed freely without it being considered intruding or poaching. The two other places are bars in town. For our viewers at home, the rules of Elysium are: you may not harm another vampire or any work of art, and you may not use disciplines, which are the vampire superpowers. Beyond that, behave yourself. Don't come too hungry, because that can get testy, especially with a bunch of vampires in one place. And the world is your oyster or blood bag. And so she's able to give you some rundowns like that. One other interesting political point is that, she also mentions that Prévost, or Prévost, if you're not trying to pronounce it in French, is the sheriff, so the kind of local law enforcement. He is a Malkavian, and he's actually working security. Normally he is attendant at court, but he lost a bunch of ghouls in the attack. One other person that she notes is gone with some sadness is that there was a fourth harpy in court. His name was Thomas. He was a very, very dear friend of hers. They finished each other's sandwiches, but she doesn't say sandwiches. She does say sentences. And everyone else just terrible losses. All of them. But also, so the one other just interesting person who doesn't exactly have a title, doesn't exactly have a position, but clearly has a lot of social power is Xavier. He is a Malkavian, and he was the Primogen and sheriff before he stepped down early 1900s to just sort of, take a backseat in terms of the politics and everything. He handed the primogenicy over to a man named Victor, and the position of provost, of sheriff, over to his child, whose name no one really knows. Everyone just calls him Provost. So there's that. Any other small conversations with hosts?
Well, I know that I'm going to have to get in touch with Mike, who's also going to have to get me in touch with the prince, because before I start throwing stakes and ripping off faces, I'm going to need his approval.
Mike says, yeah, we will definitely get you introduced just after this.
A little bit of business on the side. I shouldn't go and talk smack about the Primogen. Well, at least just disagree with him just being introduced. I know I'm your guest and all that, so I'll just tell you. This whole mass embrace thing's a bad idea. You ever go to war with conscripts?
I can't say as I have.
Well, I have. Trust me, they're no good.
Well, I mean, we can talk about that. I mean, we're not the Sabbat. We don't shovelhead people. That's not the
Just
idea.
letting you know my opinion.
And I do appreciate that. It's the reason I like the Brewhouse more than most people. We're so honest. We don't want to fuck around. Joan does lean into Anais and say, well, that went well.
Gee, you think? Well, what did you think would happen, Joan? This always happens.
Just don't be too guarded around Laure. I get the idea that maybe she's someone we could talk to.
Sure.
Yeah, actually. We're here to help. And she, I think, could use some help.
What kind of help?
We'll talk later.
Fine.
The concert concludes, and everyone claps politely. The musicians all stand up and take a bow. And I take a second bow just to be polite. And then they begin to walk away. And Marcellus, you notice that the woman playing the viola of course would glance out occasionally over the audience, and as she's walking away, she's almost not looking where she's going. She seems to be looking at you, actually. For some reason, you have caught her attention.
Wait, who caught my attention?
There was a string quartet. People with string instruments playing fancy ass white people music, and the woman playing the viola, as she's leaving, keeps glancing back at you.
Okay. What she look like?
You're pretty confident you have her attention for some reason. I'm sorry, what was that?
What she look like?
She's gonna say indeterminate, but relatively young adult, maybe early 20s to late 30s. Some people just look that good. Brown hair, seems to be long. Of course, she's dressed formally. She is playing at an event. She's pretty. Not the most striking person you've ever seen, but she's pretty.
Okay, yeah. Let's keep this going.
Yeah.
It sounds good. Let me tell y'all something, man. Like, you always want to get that confidence. Like if young women are looking at you, that means that you look good enough to where you look good enough to possibly be, because I'm 41. I'm not 41. I'm actually 37, but the character's 41. So I'm entering like the sugar daddy phase of my career, you know. So it's like I look good enough to where it look like I got some money, man. I think I'm doing all right. You know, I'm in this vampire thing now, man. Like it's not looking bad.
Yeah, and one thing that you were just because we're talking about money, one thing that you caught on to very quickly was that as a vampire, there are just like corporations have ways of maintaining and growing wealth. Vampires can use the same techniques, the same tricks and same laws and same shell games to get very rich over a period of time.
Okay, we get money. You know, we get money. All right. You know.
I mean, assuming you don't want to live like a bridge rat.
Does my clan come with? Do we get like chains like rappers that say the clan name? You know, I wanna rock that.
You can if you want to. You have not seen that, and you know that with the tradition of the masquerade, try to keep a relatively low profile. You don't want to be just going around like to clubs and going, "I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. Yeah, vampire." That would work.
Yeah, you got to keep up the masquerade, but you might, it wouldn't be bad to wear a chain with like a rose on it. That's the symbol of Clan Toreador.
Okay, I forgot about it. It's called the masquerade. My bad.
We're vampiric bloodsuckers, but on the DL.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. There's no way there'd be a big group of people of color at this party and anyone's on the DL. Like you got to keep a very different racial ratio to keep this masquerade going. Because I was thinking about it right now, like whether it be Latino, whether it be African American, or whether it be in the Middle East. I saw this, like weed out, man. I'm now just talking in this mic right now. I'm in the therapy room alone so I can participate. But the masquerade, they gotta have some sort of like discriminatory policy to keep this up. And I'm just being honest.
Yeah, well, it's
like rounds. No. There's lots of vampires who are like. There's literally an entire clan of vampires who, as they get older, their skin gets darker. And there's like African-based vampire clans and Asian-based vampire clans.
I'm just having fun when you're doing that. Don't mind any of this shit.
Okay.
So just, spoiler alert, this is actually an interesting idea that I was hoping to get into, like, as we play through the story some too. So that aside, yeah, so you have caught the violists' attention.
Mm-hmm.
And but she leaves the room with the other three musicians, and then the prince gets up and speaks.
Does the Brazzers logo appear?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. Continue.
Okay, so the prince stands up and he says, "Thank you all for joining us this evening and coming together as a court, as a community. We suffered a tragedy 2 weeks ago with the Sabbat raid, and we are all devastated by the fallout from it. I don't think there is any but perhaps one person here," and he looks at Joan as he says that, "any but one person here who didn't lose someone that they cared about, that they were close to. And all of you, except Anais, notice that your hosts sort of involuntarily shrink a little bit, indicating that is very, very true. But the prince continues, "However, I know you. You're my friends, you're my colleagues. We will survive this. We will see things put right. We need only stand together. We need only have each other's backs and work for our common good. This is all part of why I declare now, in front of the court, that I am openly accepting petitions for embrace rights. Certainly, we will observe the traditions of the Camarilla. They are the, what's the metaphor he evokes? They are the form that we use to create this burgeoning society. Not burgeoning. They are the form that we use to create and grow this society of ours, our Camarilla. But it is time. It is time to welcome new blood. It is time to welcome new friends and new community members. Please enjoy yourselves. Enjoy the refreshments. And I look forward to speaking with each of you individually as there is time. Thank you. And there's some polite clapping. And Nev mouths to Marie, well, wasn't that bolstering? And Joan says to Anais as she rises, shall we?
Anais rises slowly, looking at her. I guess we shall.
And as everyone sort of rises from their very comfortable seats that they were in for the quartet concert, and starts sort of milling about again and splitting off into their little cliques, just over a half dozen humans looking like they just came off a Vogue photo shoot enter the room from the hallway, from the door where the musicians left out of. Their variety of heights, weights, complexions, attitudes, gender presentations. And for anyone familiar with Camarilla courts, these are the refreshments. Before we initiate any other NPC ignited interactions, are there any conversations you folks want to have with anyone in particular?
I might lean over to Nev. I haven't been introduced to Laura, correct?
That is correct.
All right, I'm going to ask her. I had heard. I asked her if that is indeed the famous jeweler, and ask her to introduce me to her.
Fantastic. She is happy to. So Nev approaches Laura and says, excuse me, Laura, dear, may I please introduce to you my friend Marie Suzette. She's visiting us from Alsace. Marie, this is Laura Novo, our Elysium keeper, keeping everything tidy, done a lovely job after things looked so rough from the last time. And Marcellus, you are with Laura at this point, and this tall woman with a really severe black haircut comes over and starts talking all nice and stuff. And then there's Marie, Winnie's character, there with her, getting introduced. And Laura turns to Marie and says, well, it is a pleasure, dear. And what brings you to Bordeaux?
Oh, this business and that. In particular, I actually had heard of you, and I was actually interested in enlisting your services. As you can see, I have a bit of a collection, and I was hoping to get some of it restored. And I heard, of your many talents.
Well, I'm afraid that I'm so sorry. I hope that that isn't the only reason you came. I'm a bit busy. I will happily recommend putting you in touch with some other fine jewelers in this city, but I have
Oh, don't worry.
other affairs to attend to.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Well, don't worry. I have other pressing concerns, shall we say? Especially given recent events. Like, can I just say, when I was asking about the jewelry, I clearly had it in my expression that isn't exactly really why I'm here.
Sure.
Like, maybe I said, like, what I just said, like, the bit about, like, given pressing events. Maybe I kind of almost say that subliminally in a way.
Yeah. Tell you what, give me a roll, appearance plus expression.
Okay, that is going to be... That's going to be 6 die. Okay.
And difficulty 7. So 7s are better. Tell me how many.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Oh my God! I got. Wait! I only wrote. I got. I have 6 successes.
Well, shit.
I know,
okay.
right? Yeah, that's an amazing roll. Holy shit.
So.
No, you know what? Actually, sorry, I got 5 successes. 5 successes.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's still awesome. So you're sort of trying to speak between the lines, as it were. What would you want to communicate to Lore that you are actually in town for or to do?
I'm in town because of what has happened recently.
And what do you want to do about it?
That is, rather than taking her services, I want to offer services of my own. And I have a very special interest in what is the town's current issues. So that is basically what I'm saying to her. Rather than, I don't really give, it's not so much that I want her services, the services that I'm really discussing on my own.
So, she says, well, I am certainly flattered. I think that perhaps we should discuss this privately afterward.
Of course. Some of these pieces are very dear to my heart. And that's me basically just sort of saying, like, this is important to me, but I want full discretion. So. And I look at Marcellus at one point, and I sort of give him like a little curtsy, because I always like greet people with a curtsy. I'm like, I'm glad to see your sire is so talented.
That's what's up, but it's good to meet you, and I'm just lounging right now, we good, we sipping on refreshments, it's like we're having the vampire party at the beginning of Blade, but Blade hating ass ain't gonna show up, so we good right now.
I mean, you really hope so. That's what happened 2 weeks ago, basically. It's not pretty.
Yeah. Except Blade actually is a vampire, and he's also like a doomsdayer, so that's a thing.
Roland, Mike introduces you to the prince. He says, Prince Boyer, may I please introduce to you a good friend of mine. His name's Roland. He's, been all over the place, and he heard we were having some trouble, wanted to come help out. Roland, this is Jean-Baptiste Boyer. He's our prince. Not a bad guy, as princes go.
Pleasure to meet you. You have a lovely court.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry, it's just it makes me think of the court we had. I believe that this is still a good place, and these are still good people, and we have a strong community. It's just it makes me think of those we've lost.
Well, that is why I am here, to see what we can do about that.
Well, I welcome you fully. If there is anything I or any of the other court officiants can do for you, please let us know. And with a very practiced motion, he reaches into his jacket and takes out a business card. This is the number for my secretary. She manages all of my affairs quite intimately. If there's anything we can do for you, please don't hesitate to contact her, and if necessary, she will make other arrangements and contacts for you.
I'll hold you to that. I fully plan on doing everything I can to stop what's going on from happening again.
So this will be interesting. If you could please make a roll for me, it's going to be expression. But then whether you use charisma or manipulation is going to depend on how forthright you're being. And I'll let you make that choice. Charisma, of course, being more honest, manipulation being more devious. Difficulty 6.
I got 2, and I'm using charisma. I fully plan on being as much of a nuisance as possible, if it means that I'm taking out the Sabbat.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Just make a note here real quick.
Guys, I need a second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure. Well, Mr. Roland, I think I might hold you to that as well. And then one of the other Bruja actually approaches and oh no, actually, sorry. There's one other interaction that needs to happen with the prince. So Anais, Joan takes you to meet the prince, led by Laure. Laure says, now would be a good time, I think. We don't want to put this off. And takes you and Joan to meet the prince. And as she says, very formally, excuse me, gentlemen, as she is interrupting Roland and Mike and talking with Boyer. My prince, may I introduce to you Joan Sarnaud, the Primogen, the Toreador Primogen from Toulouse. Madame Primogen, may I please introduce to you Jean-Baptiste Boyer, Prince of Bordeaux. And Joan says, Monsieur Boyer, I'm very sorry for your recent losses. And Boyer is grows. He has a way of growing another. He was already standing up straight, but he has a way of seeming to grow another inch or two, and growing stern. And he says, Madame Sarnaud, thank you. Joan continues, I just wanted to express my personal condolences, as well as the condolences of all of Toulouse. Certainly, if there's anything we can do for our cousins here in Bordeaux, we would like to be of service. And Boyer says, the offer is most appreciated. If you'll excuse me. And Joan says, actually, I was hoping that there might be time to speak of some other mutually concerning matters, perhaps in private. And with the same practiced motion, though perhaps a bit more of a flick to it, Boyer takes out a business card and says, "Here is my secretary's phone number. Please contact her." And Joan says, I'm sorry, I meant tonight. We don't want to put anything off." And Mike has not left. He's finding this very interesting. And Boyer,
At this point, might I lean over to Nev and go, I think it's about time I also make an introduction to Prince.
and she has, of course, noticed the tension growing. And
Yes,
yeah, and she says,
too.
"Yes, let's." And there's actually Anais. It's another very sort of uncomfortable moment for you, as more and more attention seems to be directed at Joan's interaction with the prince, and by extension, yourself. And at Joan's pressing, the prince grows very hard. His expression grows very hard. And
yeah, about to say.
oh boy. And he says, "Madame, you have arrived uninvited to a private affair at a very stressful time. We are pressed, as it were, from many sides. I do not have time for you tonight. If you're a friend and would like to discuss matters of mutual importance, you may contact my secretary. She will put something on my calendar. Until then, if you will excuse me, I have a court to attend to." And Joan says, "Of course. Please forgive me."
I like lean over to Nev, and meanwhile I was wondering if like Nev could just basically repeat to me what's been happening. And I've been hearing I've been hearing from her what they've been saying this entire time, and I'm just like, oh shit.
Yeah, the tension is thick enough. You could cut it with a couteau or a knife. I'm actually not sure if couteau is knife. Someone who actually speaks French, please email me, DM me. I'm on Twitter. Is couteau a knife? And with that, Boyer turns away and greets Nev, kind of actually picks her out of the group to pay attention to, and is now smiling. "Nev, my dear, I'm so glad you're here. It's lovely to see you." And they do the 2 air kisses. So they're close, but not that close. And Nev introduces you, and you get a very similar sort of interaction to what Roland had. Joan turns to Anais and says, "Well, let's go see if we can find any happier faces." I'm actually going to go speak with Gregory, the local Toreador Primogen. Maybe you should just make yourself available. Maybe grab something to eat.
I'll do my best, Joan. Go ahead and do what you need to do. I'll get a sip of blood and I'll just stand by the corner or something.
Yeah. She leans in and gives you a kiss on the cheek. Says, "Good girl," and wanders off. Marie, is there anything particular you want out of your interaction with the prince? It's very, very similar, at least at first, to the interaction he has with Roland.
I just want to make it very clear that I am here and that I am very interested in helping him, but I don't say it plainly. I think it's going to be another thing like my interaction with Lore, except I'm a little more hesitant. I'm a little more reticent. Like I'm not. I am judging him a little bit.
Interesting.
I'm trying to get my idea because this is the guy who's like the top dog and who's a domain I am going to be operating in. So his character is going to be very important to me. So I think I'm going to be very genteel. I'm going to curtsy to him and introduce myself very kindly and genteelly, but I am very much looking at him, like sizing him up.
Interesting. You get a business card as well. Why don't you roll perception plus empathy for me?
Okay.
And
we got 4 successes.
well, I was gonna say the difficulty is 8.
Oh, then I've got 2 successes.
Okay. You get to ask me 2 questions.
Okay. First of all, does he notice anything off about me? Like, what is his impression of me? I guess that should be my first question. What is his impression of me? Second of all,
do you want me to answer the first question before you ask the second?
Yes.
Okay. So, being introduced by Nev, and he just sort of the milieu of the evening. He thinks your manners are a little bit odd, but he is willing, at least, to
like
be
odd how.
like no one really does that anymore.
Oh, okay. So,
quaint, not suspicious.
yeah, but,
quaint.
okay, but like in a manner, but considering, does that indicate to him my possible age at all?
No.
No? Okay. He doesn't think.
He does not seem suspicious of you at all. And he is, in fact, very willing to be warm and welcoming. You were introduced by his blood sister, who seems to have an okay relationship with. And so he's willing to at least give you the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
You have one more question.
And then, how nervous does he seem? Like, is he just does he seem at all secure, or is he really terrified? How secure does he feel in his leadership right now?
There is, you can perceive some very, very minor anxiety. He's not terrified. He's not like trembling in his boots. He's not like sweating. Well, I hope that went well. My stupid say nothing speech. But he's a little nervous. I wouldn't put it more than a little, but he's a little nervous.
Okay.
You know, the world is not right now. So that's you. Roland, you're still, I mean, Mike at least is still right there. I don't know if you would have wanted to go off and do anything else. But Roland's still there when Anais kind of gets dropped. And you have been able to pick up pretty readily that Joan and Anais, while formally being welcomed, are not actually welcome. And this poor girl is very nervous.
Yeah, they're PNG.
Yeah. Can I just offer them a quick but very genteel greeting?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I see that I am not the only newcomer tonight.
Was she speaking to me?
Yeah. Both of you.
Okay. She's speaking to somebody else. I believe so.
Yes. Tell me, where are you from originally?
I'm from not around here.
Oh, well, neither am I, actually. You're very interesting. Have you met the other newcomer tonight? The Bruja over there.
Who?
The Bruja over there, the Irish one.
Me.
Oh no, I haven't been paying attention to him or any other people at all for that matter tonight.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. I hope we can grow better acquainted.
You too. Have a good night.
You too.
And Roland, you actually get approached by someone that you're pretty sure is he's a Nosferatu. Black slacks.
They're pretty obvious.
Yeah, black slacks, black shirt, black waistcoat. And you can see like the green and gray mottled skin, behind the edges of his mask and on his head with his wispy white hair on top. But he does also have black gloves, and he's wearing a white mask. It looks almost like a plague doctor mask with the nose, but it is white and clearly more of a theater piece.
So a Venetian carnival mask.
Yeah, but not as gaudy, not decorated like that. And sorry, let's forget that for a second. And he says, "You're Roland, right?"
I am.
Doctor, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm the Nosferatu Primogen.
And you are just called Doctor?
Well, as fitting an appellation as any name, really. I am not the man I was when alive. The name I had seems antiquated somehow.
Oh, if it doesn't work, always just use another.
I understand for some, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it was a bit tight in the waist anymore.
How can I help you tonight, Doctor?
Well, I understand you are here with Mike, and I understand that you recently came from... I'm blanking. It's been so long since we did your prelude. I'm blanking on where you came from.
Nagano, during the Georgia-Azerbaijan War.
You're talking about Nagano, Japan?
No. The recent war that was between Georgia and Azerbaijan.
Oh, okay. So that would be Eastern Europe. Because you said Nagano. I'm like, what? Whoa. I've been, I passed through there when I was stationed in Tokyo. But please continue.
And so Doctor says, I understand that you are coming to us from Georgia, that you've been here and there over the years.
If, as you say, if names are not suitable, what are we supposed to do when the places are no longer suitable?
I like that. I just wanted to extend my personal welcome and a bit of help. And Nosferatu have a reputation to uphold, as it were, as useful. And he hands you a card with a phone number on it. Monsieur Pierre manages a hotline of sorts for those kindred in need of assistance. whatever sort of assistance that might be, please feel free to call should you need anything while you're in town.
I'll keep it in mind.
If you'll excuse me, unless there's something else I can do for you right now.
There's nothing that can't wait. Please enjoy the rest of your evening.
Bonsoir, monsieur. And Anais, someone, as you are sort of trying to melt into the wallpaper, approaches you. And you see, as she strides up to you, this sort of ripple of attention, like waves of heat over a hot road, following her. And it is Alicia Vandenstree. And she says to you, "Hello, darling. How have you been?"
I've been in pain and turmoil and misery ever since I met you.
Oh dear me. What, have you seen a doctor?
Have
I
I seen
don't
a
mean that one. That's just a name we call him. He's actually a shite doctor.
okay?
And she has pointed, of course, to the Nosferatu that I just described.
Yeah. Why are you coming up to me?
I wanted to welcome you to court. I wanted to welcome you to Bordeaux. And because I didn't get to, soon after it happened, I wanted to welcome you to kindredhood.
Kindred?
Yeah. We are, after all, kin of more of a fashion than I would ever have expected. Blood sisters.
Then you would have expected. You're the one that led me to where I am now. How could you not have known?
I'm sorry, I had a hard time hearing that. Could you say that again?
What did Anais say? Anais said, how could you not have known? You were the one that began my journey. You were the one that led me to all of this pain and suffering.
It's true. I made certain introductions, but I think that all this pain and suffering you speak of is giving me an awful lot of credit. I haven't seen you in 3 years. There's someone you got to
Best
blame.
years of this life. And those years were the best years of this life.
Just so you know, I'm observing this.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, and I don't think I'm the only one observing this either.
Oh no. This is strong theater for those attendant. Of course, Mike and Theodore are not amused and honestly trying to kind of avoid it and ignore it. And Mike actually wants to have a conversation with Marcellus and get to know you a little bit. But to just hop back and finish with Alicia and Anais for a minute. Alicia says, "Well, brava that. Look, if nothing else, I wanted to extend an olive branch. If you don't take it, that's up to you."
This olive branch that you're extending out to me, I know it's filled with maggots.
Well, you can lead a horse to water. And she leans in close and whispers, but you can't take away its daddy issues. And walks away.
Sorry, that's funny.
And you know what? I lean over to Nev at this point. I'm like, that Alicia Vanden Street is quite a piece of work, isn't she?
Oh, you're talking to Anais.
I was talking to Nev.
Oh.
But I do wander over to you at one point, and I ask if you're okay. I'm gonna ask Anais if she's okay. Are you okay?
I'll be fine.
Are you sure?
I assure you, I'll be fine.
All right.
I'm sure you've argued with your fair share of people before. It's nothing.
All right. Well, I hand her a little piece of paper with my number on it. Marie Suzette, message me if you have any more issues. And then I walk away.
Well, that's going on. Laura Novo approaches Mike and Roland, actually. As you've been talking with Marcellus, she comes up and says, Mike, and kind of swats him on the arm. You haven't introduced me to your friend yet. Mike says, I'm very sorry. I should not impinge on your duty, honorific. Fuck it. Laura, this is my friend Roland. Roland Lornovo.
Pleasure. Nice to meet you. Enchanté, as they say.
Très enchanté. Your French is quite good.
Well, I spent a few years in Paris, here and there. It's been a long time, though.
Yes, well, I'm sure if you went back, you wouldn't notice anything had changed.
Oh, I can think of a few things.
I understand that you've traveled quite a bit, actually, Roland. You hear things.
In this circumstance, what you hear is correct.
I wonder, have you ever dealt with the Sabbat before?
Extensively. In fact, they just came from an engagement in the Caucasus.
Huh. I don't suppose, and she sort of tries to be casual about it, but like does the stretch and looks over her shoulder, but like the posh, quiet equivalent of that. As she says, I don't suppose you've ever heard of them keeping prisoners.
It happens from time to time, usually for interrogations or just for fun.
Well, as Elysium Keeper, I certainly try to keep abreast of what's going on in our fair town, who is here, who needs what, and just generally be of use. Please let me, she fishes in her purse. Let me give you my number, just in case anything comes up that you might need.
Oh, so this is what it's like to be the belle in the ball. Mike, you should have told me that I would actually be liked here.
And he says, oh, don't get too excited. You haven't actually had much of a conversation with any of them yet.
It's longer than I usually have. You know, the usual. Hi, how you doing? Slam a stake through their heart.
Laura says, indeed. Well, I certainly don't want to be too much of an interruption, but it was a pleasure to meet you, Roland.
Indeed. I hope
And
you wish you well.
she calls Marcellus away and then has a quiet word with him in which she specifically tells Marcellus to get Roland to Parc du Chantrain, which is a park nearby, after court.
I thought she was going to say the parking lot, which would also coincide with what is known as parking lot pimping.
I mean, you have not known that to be her style, but it's always an option.
It is adjacent to what is also known as gorilla pimping. Continue. Damn, that sounded real smart right now.
Yeah. Yeah, adjacent.
I can't spell adjacent, bro. Like, I'm serious. Like, I would lose the spelling bee right now. Go ahead.
I never discounted anyone for spelling. I never discounted anyone for spelling. And so, you know, there's this mingling and milling going on, small conversations. Alicia is actually in the middle of trying to get Marie's phone number, actually. I should have drinkies sometime. I'm sorry, you're muted.
Are you talking to me?
No,
Oh, okay.
yeah. And I say to her, sorry, I lost my tooth fell out. Totally, 100%. I would love to speak to you again.
Mm-hmm. And Laure does not want to share your attention with her, so she definitely pulls you away to also invite you to Parc du Chantrain.
Okay.
When someone kicks the double doors open, bam, and everyone in court like spins on their heel. What is that? Are we in another fight? And like you could like almost hear everyone's internal beast snarling as they turn, and in strides medium height man, kind of shortish blonde hair with a trombone and Bluetooth speakers on his hips. And the speakers are playing like a jazz, like New Orleans funeral procession music. You know, street funeral procession with and he's dancing along and he's not playing the trombone, but he really wants to make it look like he's playing the trombone. And he's having a grand old time, like Dixie landing it up in here. And everyone kind of puts their fangs away, but no one is happy about this. And from behind him, a Nosferatu in black robes, like almost monk's robes. Sort of, no one knew he was there, but he comes up and he hits the off button on the speakers. And then so you've just got this asshole in a black suit, like miming playing a trombone. And you can hear actually that he's like making the little sounds, kind of just not actually working the instrument. He's just doing it for himself, I guess. And he says, "Oh, come on, Igor." And Nosferatu just shakes his head. That was bad taste. And Alicia kind of snorts, well, if the Nosferatu thinks that was an ugly thing to do, you're in real trouble. But sort of collectively, everyone after that decides that court is over. And Lyle, the Tremere Primogen, Nev says to you, yeah, that's him. is left kind of looking around everyone, sort of, filtering out, going, "Oh, come on, it was a party, I thought, with music. I thought we were doing a thing. Are we doing a thing tonight? Am I late?" And everyone's kind of leaving, ignoring him. And as they all filter out, I know that we're a little bit late for it, but before we continue, we owe ourselves a 5-minute break. So if you're watching along at home or in the park or a cafe, really you should be at home. But anyway, we're gonna hit mute for a minute and be back in about 5 minutes. Thanks so much.
Let's see. This is the first thing that I have consumed all day. Let's see.
We are
It's
technically
just,
still live, but I think it's okay because I texted my sisters. Okay, thanks, Cole. I texted my sister. I'm like, I'm live, and I sent her a picture of me, and she goes, "You look like Tom Cruise, but in a good way." Which I'm not sure how to take that. Tom Cruise. Apparently, I look like Tom Cruise, but in a good way.
I don't see it.
I don't see it either. I mean, I've got brown hair, but that's about it. And then I said to her, like, I was trying to go for like a 90s hair thing. And she was like, "Well, you succeeded. It looks good." I'm like, okay. But like, she once said to me that like Tom Cruise would not make a good looking chick. So I don't know how to take it.
I will say he has been a very beautiful man.
I look like a beautiful man. Thank you very much.
I'm just drinking ginger ale, to get my powers ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, what is?
Okay, I have to send you.
You need to eat more.
I know. Yeah, so like
the thing was, we're live, so just in case you don't know, they can hear us. I don't have like a be right back screen.
Okay.
I don't have premium, but I might get us premium StreamYard. But until I know for sure I can do that, like everyone can hear us.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Hear me drinking.
I don't suppose anyone has eyes on whatever chat might be associated with the streaming, actually, in case there are questions or anything.
No, there's no questions right now. The only three people have been chatting are streaming regular and also secrets, and she wanted to let you know couteau is knife, and you pronounced it properly.
Yay! I'm really trying. Okay. This was always the thing in Girls Guts Glory that they'd say, "Okay, we'll be back in 5 minutes," and then like people would forget to turn their mics off when they went to the bathroom and shit.
Oh no.
I shouldn't have the symbol on. I'm just drinking ginger ale so I can fuel my hours for December 21st.
Is ginger ale really what you want there though?
What?
Is ginger ale really what you want there though?
Yes, it is. It is the black recipe to rejuvenate our powers. Because on apparently December 21st, all black people's quote unquote DNA. Our
Oh
DNA
my
is gonna
god,
go.
I saw that shit too.
Wait, what?
I
I'll have to show you
thought this was a solstice thing we were talking about here.
Yeah, it is the solstice. Like, I have to show you. Like, I'll find the link for you guys.
What about your DNA?
Our DNA.
Oh, by the way, guys, Secrets has to go to bed. So everybody, like, let's wish Secrets a good night and a good sleep.
Good night,
All
Secret.
Night, Secrets.
Bel Chev.
Our DNA will, like, somehow activate
Yeah.
And just,
and give
like
us
Pokemon?
power. Hold on, let me find the link for you guys. I'll find a link for you guys because it's so fun.
Is this some kind of like diamonds and silk shit?
I know it's like it's very Hotep. It's very
Yeah, I was gonna
Hotep.
say this is some like this is like next level Umar Tariq Nasheed shit.
Oh
And
shit!
it turned into a meme, and so now all of Black Twitter, we're waiting for our powers to like come back for tomorrow, so we could be at our like ultimate Super Saiyan power level.
Yeah,
I had the link in the chat, and then somebody was like, "Why didn't our DNA activate during slavery?"
We got a question. Zach Rules wants to know what powers are you guys hoping for?
I have no idea. Probably just, I guess, have that power. I guess poison ivy, kind of, for the socialism, communism aspect, where I could just grow plants everywhere, grow food everywhere, and it'd be pretty readily available for people. Be pretty. Yeah, be pretty. Make people fall in love with you. Yeah. I know, but I get to be even more pretty.
I like
Appearance 5.
I love poison ivy.
And her the relationship, at least from the animated series, the relationship she develops with Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
it's just so dear. It's so dear.
Yes, it's
I
so
love
cute.
them.
So cute.
Too bad they couldn't have actually been lesbians, or at least a couple. Okay, so getting back to game. 3, 2, 1. Vampire. I'm a vampire and I have lost my fangs. Everyone except Anais has been invited to Parc du Chantrain by Laure Nouveau.
All right, let me check my background. It's technically not Parc du Chantrain, but it is a park at night in Bordeaux, apparently. So,
Parc du Chantrain, I'm making up anyway. It's all good. But I'm pretty sure there aren't palm trees. Just throwing that out there. Although I guess Southwest France, maybe there are. It's pretty warm there. Anyway, she and Marcellus, you're there too.
and I greet Roland. Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Good to see you again.
And Laura says, I appreciate you both coming. This is not such a time for delicacy, but
well, I mean, that
idiot,
what was his name? The one who came in with the trombone, he made that very clear.
Lyle.
I have to ask, what was that? Like, I like a good bit of jazz music, but that was absurd.
That was Lyle Kirsten. He is our Tremere Primogen. I believe that his clan also gives him a title regent, whatever that means.
I know what
And
it is. I'm pretty familiar with the Tremere. What a surprise that one of them would have such bad taste.
yeah,
I have to say, it's been how long since your raid?
2 weeks.
This is okay.
And what have you been doing since then?
Most of us have been cowering in our havens.
Oh, splendid. So you've lost 2 weeks of investigatory time, and they could attack at any moment, and you have no idea where they're coming from.
I read the mood of that room. Most of the people in there were ready to pounce toward that door. So I have a strong feeling that you guys are expecting an attack at any moment. And you're grandstanding.
You must understand, we have been a quiet court for almost a century now. As much as Vignes, Prince of Paris, would love to incorporate us into his little system, we have maintained an armistice. As much as there's always a threat of autarchus or Sabbat pacts, they've been addressed quickly and relatively quietly.
I don't care whether you're a part of his fiefdom or not. We're French. We have no right within 100 years of World War II to not be prepared for invasion. I'm sorry. You want to remain independent, and yet this is how unprepared you are, and this is how slow you are to react to a Sabbat raid. I don't think that's acceptable. I'm very concerned.
Your
And
concern is noted.
If you're not interested in you, if you're not interested in war. War is interested in you, and you have it. Now you have to act.
Yes. Why do you think I asked to speak with you two privately? I will not defend the actions of my fellows further than I already have. I will not defend the response, as it were, of Boyer.
Yeah, about him. He seemed a little bit on edge.
Everyone is on edge.
Yeah,
I don't suppose you heard that we were attacked.
More confident than he should be. Yes, more confident than he should be, considering the state of affairs. I find that very troubling.
I will not speak for him. I, however, want to make it. I am personally invested in a strong response to the situation. I had hoped that our faith in our prince was founded, that he would have more than encouraging words tonight. We all saw how well that went.
He's acting still like a peacetime prince.
Indeed.
Sound like you called him a bitch. I'm gonna go tell him. We cool now. I'm snitching, bro.
Well, you do that, sir. You did. Can I? I'm gonna look right at Marcellus right now. All right, and I'm gonna make it very clear. You do that, I promise you, you won't really like the results.
But in the back of your mind, you're like, damn, you fine. I hate having to do this.
If we're done here,
my man chimed in perfect time.
No, can I just say, like, I want to make this as like very clearly threatening as possible. In a way, like it shouldn't be too obvious, but like it should be very, like I want to scare the shit out of them.
So just know that I back down. I'm like, all right, I don't want no beef, man. I ain't gonna say nothing.
What's my role? What's my role, Gabe?
No role between PCs. We can establish freely both how we try to interact with each other and our own responses.
Okay.
That's unless you're backing it with magic.
Why don't I want to send a little message not just to Marcellus, but I also want to make Roland a little bit of like unnerved a bit.
You can try.
And Lore. I want to set like a tremor through the park right now.
Oh, interesting. All right.
Yes.
Do you want to do this? You want to show that you're a scary bitch. Is that what I'm reading?
Yeah, I really want to suddenly make people very, maybe not Roland, maybe Roland's not as afraid of me, but like he's on guard now.
Well, I mean, that'll be up to Jim. But in terms of lore, yeah, give me a charisma plus intimidation.
1, 2, 3, 4. All right.
And I'm sorry, difficulty 7.
1, 2, 3. I've got 3 successes. 3 out of 4. I don't really have I should tell you, intimidation is not one of my abilities.
That's fine. Does not matter for this, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, we can go over the rules for talents, skills, abilities, or knowledges later. That's not important right now. Yeah, no, lore is ready to take you seriously.
Good.
She says so.
But yeah, no. But like yes, and I basically look at Marcellus and I go, "Listen, you're not going to be saying anything tonight, darling, unless I want you to."
All right, cool. It's good. I'll just continue having refreshments. It's good. They got 40 ounces over there. I'm gonna go grab one. Yeah, we good now.
If by a 40 you mean like a vagrant sleeping under a park bench, you're in a park right now. You're park outside right now.
Yeah. You don't drink alcohol. You're just drinking blood now. That's all you get to consume now.
Yeah, but also lots of euphemisms among kindred.
Yes. Marcella, Cole, you're it's your first night of being a vampire and you just sucked off a hobo.
Wait, what? I did what?
Well, that's not exactly what I meant, but that is his choice, one way or the other.
You're drinking out favorite.
Well, let me tell you. Hold on. Let me tell you something. I have no issue with someone's choice to do that, but I can't say that that's something that my character would do.
I just screwed with you a little bit. I'm just screwing.
Yeah, I think that is entirely your choice.
Hold on. But if her character said, "You have to suck my dick if you don't want me to," I'd probably just do it just to get it out of the way and live.
Well, my character does not have a dick, so.
Yeah, we'll find out more about that later at some point. Weirdly enough, I can't believe I'm actually saying that.
That was me saying that out of character, by the way. I was out of that was Wendy saying like, "Haha, you just sucked off a hobo."
Roland, however, is definitely looking to get on this with lore, and pretty much just says, "Well, that's great if you're willing to support us. Can you get us the dust from the raid? Every single one of them, if you can. Every single Sabbat member. I want to know who they were, and I need to have dust from them." Sabbat are
And I
pack
would like-
creatures, so we can.
And,
Are you talented in aspects?
We can get that done. I can take care of that if need be. But what I need right now.
Sorry, I was going to say, yeah. I was going to say, yeah, I would also probably find some use for it myself.
I'll see what I can manage. And while this conversation is happening, Anais, I should say. Accent's still wrong, sorry. You and Joan are walking away from Le Grand Théâtre toward your hotel. She has been to Bordeaux several times. She knows where she's going. And as you're walking through one of these sort of narrow side streets, more of an alley really, between or away from the Grand Théâtre, through the old quarter of town. None of the buildings around you are really more than 4 stories tall. It starts raining. No, it's not rain. It's just on you. It takes you a minute, but you do recognize the scent. That's kerosene. You have painter friends who used to use it to clean up their studios. Why are you getting pelted with kerosene? And you look at Joan, and she looks at you, and she has the hardest expression you have ever seen on her face. And she just says, "Run."
Yeah, Anais doesn't have to be told twice. She just looks at Joan shocked for a minute, but she obeys her and does what she says and just runs in whatever direction.
Mm-hmm. And with celerity, you run pretty damn fast. But you do hear a pop, fizz, and a whoosh behind you. And you aren't running so fast that you don't feel the heat of a giant fire starting. And as you run down these alleys, a sharp left, gentle right, cross traffic, almost get hit by a cab, you hear a howl of incredible pain behind you. And then you make it to a park with a little lake in it and lots of trees and lit walkways. And not too far away, actually, after you stop, not to catch your breath, but just because you ran. You did run. You actually find 4 people that you recognize from court, including Marie Suzette, who was kind of nice to you, and Laure, who was diffident, but not a bitch. And of course, everyone in your little cadre having a conversation with Laure noticed that Anais, the colorfully dressed individual from court, just celerity ran into the park.
Also, we smell the kerosene. Or at least I
Oh,
do.
yes, and you smell the kerosene.
Which was very alarming. What is going on? I'm going to bare my fangs a little bit because I'm like on edge, learning how, considering the environment right now. But then I see it's her, and my fangs immediately retract.
And Laure jogs up to you, Anais, and says, "What's wrong? What happened?"
And I still stunned for a few seconds, just like blinks for a minute. The shock kind of wearing off, and all of a sudden, like all of the anxiety and like sadness just starts pouring out of her. She can only say a few words: kerosene, fire, explosion, Joan, gone.
Where?
I can't remember. She just points to just the direction that she ran from.
Roland is going that way.
Roland, with your disciplines and your heightened senses, it's not hard to figure out where there was just there was just a kerosene fire and someone got burned, very much burned.
Marie Suzette kind of crowds over Anais and tries to calm her down and soothe her a little bit. I'm gonna try to get her to. I'm gonna try to get her to sort of get her head straight a little bit, so I can hear what happened. Get her to speak more normally.
Mm-hmm. Laure says, "I have to go see what's going on. Please stay here with her." Okay.
I will.
And then she follows off after Roland. Roland, it does not take you long to find the scene, as I mentioned. By the time you get there, there is a very small puddle of something burning with a pile of ash that looks like it may at one point have been relatively human-shaped. And if you could just... you have stopped far enough away that the presence of fire is not poking your beast. But if you want to get any closer yet, it would be a raw check.
Understood. You're saying this is a human-sized fire?
The lump of char is human-sized, absolutely. The fire has died down quite a bit.
Well, first thing I'm going to do is throw my trench coat on the fire to help, and then yes, I am moving forward.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? It would have died down enough, and you are specifically sort of putting it out of your sight and putting it out that, your beast a little bit.
Courage roll.
No, we're not going to require a roll this time.
I just did one.
Oh, okay. Well, you didn't botch, did you?
No, 2 successes.
Right. Yeah. So you
Roll
can manage. You can manage this. So that you're confident the fire goes out. What else do you do?
It looked like an attack, so I'm going to see where it came from.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Perception plus investigation. Difficulty 6. Sorry, I hadn't said before.
3.
Okay. So investigating the scene generally, the first thing you establish is that based on sort of the smell and some other little drops that you find, kerosene that was not burned, it seems to have the likely place is that someone was attacking from a roof of one of the buildings over the alley. And I'm sorry, that was 2 successes?
3.
3, okay. So you notice that. You notice also that the source of ignition was like a marina flare, like the kind of
like a boat flare.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The kind of thing that you would keep on a boat just in case something bad happened. Third detail that you notice. We're going to save that detail as you continue your investigation. You'll just have a freebie there somewhere floating around.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. back in the park, Anais, has Marie been able to soothe you at all, get you a little bit calmer? And Marcellus, you're there with them too, unless you wanted to follow after Laure.
Well, this is gonna be my last conversation because I definitely need to go. But
Sure. Okay.
I just want y'all. I'm gonna break character. I just want y'all to know this is a lot of fun. And if it wasn't for the fact that we're literally in a crisis here, not just at work, but here in my entire county, this wouldn't be such a difficult endeavor. And so I just want y'all to know I had a lot of fun. But go ahead with it, and then I definitely have to go.
Yeah, sure. Cole, really appreciate you spending any time with us at all tonight. I know that you have a shit ton of stuff going on. Means a lot to me personally that you have maintained your involvement and enthusiasm for this project, and I look forward to getting you back if and whenever we can.
Yeah, you know what, man? Like
Seconded.
I trying to, I wish I would have had more opportunities to promote, but things are obviously very fucked up and hectic. And I just, like I said, I really enjoyed coming on here, and I've been working the whole time, but
Yeah.
like, I'll be honest, I do this for, practically a living halfway. So talking is just very easy for me.
Mhm.
So like, I'm always happy to try to, bring some comedy to any situation because things are pretty fucked up and sad. And Vampire is like the sad person gang, It's just like the permanent sad gang, man. Like I think of like Edward in fucking Twilight, man.
Oh, come on. No.
He was like 47,000 years old, fucking with 18-year-olds, man.
Yeah,
that's pretty
but
sad.
that's not sad. That's just creepy.
I know. But yeah, continue, please. Continue with the scenario. Because sorry, that was
It's all good. No, and I know, like you had mentioned that you wouldn't be with us the whole night, so I just want to say that too. Thank you.
Nah, I got you.
Okay, so Anais, Marie's been able to call me a little bit, get you talking a little bit.
Not so much.
Okay.
She's traumatized by the explosion. She's a little bit quieter. I believe she can't, like, it's even hard for her to process what's basically happened. She remembers Joan saying run and then going sort of blurry after that. Yeah, she's just an anxious, like, stressed out ball, and then the memories of her talking to Alicia coming back. So yeah, it's very hard for her to talk right now.
Yeah.
Did you see anyone else? Any sign at all of anyone else?
Give me a perception plus awareness roll. Difficulty. No, I'm sorry. Anais, if you could please give me a perception plus awareness roll, difficulty 8.
Okay. It's a D10, right?
Yep, it's all so it's all D10s, and for our viewers at home, the way that this game's dice mechanics work is that you have attributes which are sort of more inherent to your character, and abilities which are the foci of activity that you practice in the world. And so when we roll dice, we roll a number of dice equal to an attribute plus an ability most of the time. We roll that many 10-sided dice, and we look for dice with a certain number above called the difficulty. So as we've been reporting out numbers of successes, that's how many dice have hit the difficulty or better. And more successes is a more successful roll. So whatever your perception is, I think it's pretty good.
Should we? Hold on. Trying to see if I have the right character sheet. Okay, I found the right character sheet.
Okay.
So, Deanna, you gonna blow on your dice before you roll?
You
gonna blow on your dice before you roll?
I'm gonna blow on this virtual dice.
Oh hell yeah! Hell yeah!
Okay, so D10. Generator. I should have held this up before. Let's see. And I have 2 dots, right? So roll just twice.
So you get however many dots you have in perception, and then however many dots you have in the talent called awareness.
So 5.
Okay. So you're going to roll 5 dice. And this was not something that was very present, like at the time, is not something you're really thinking of or trying to do. Trying to remember what you may have noticed is going to be kind of difficult. So we're going to call that difficulty 8, actually. So you're going to roll a 5 dice and look for 8 or better.
All right. I got 1 8.
Okay.
1 a 1. 6. That's
Okay.
not good.
You got a success.
An
That's
8.
something.
Yeah.
Okay, 2. We're up to 2. 2 hits.
And a 9. So
Awesome. That's actually 3 on a difficult roll with not many dice. Okay, so things that you remember. You can now remember someone sort of like as you looked at Joan, you go back to that moment as much emotion as it evokes in you. And you remember a few things. You remember seeing someone in a long coat standing on a rooftop with what looked like a water gun, actually. You remember that. You remember the cloud from their breath being blown away as they pulled another gun-looking object out of their pocket. And you remember that if they had... no, that's not as interesting a detail as I want it to be. You remember that there was a flash of reflection around the eyes as they shot the flare gun, like they had glasses on. And the whole thing is actually a really terrifying image when you look back on it. This person in a long coat that you can't make out who they are, pointing a flare gun at you and a dear friend of yours, pulling the trigger in this flash of orange eyes.
This just sounds scary.
yeah, like Anais would like explain that. So she would say, there was a man. Yeah, generally there was this man, very very dark looking. I think he had glasses on, and he shot a flare gun out. Others probably saw the light too, I'm assuming. His eyes just look very, very purposeful and just intimidating in that way. And this Anais pretty much knows at that point.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm just looking up a couple of things in the book just to see if I can think of anything to do with any of this. Sorry.
Sure, that's fine. Getting back to Roland and Laure, you've made a relatively brief survey of the situation in the alley itself. It is very late by human standards, so all of the shops on the ground level are closed up. It doesn't look like there are any kinds of businesses on the street that would still be open at like 3 a.m. There's maybe 2 apartments with lights on, but the rest of them are dark.
Guys, I have to go. I had a great time. I gotta go. I'm sorry, guys. I gotta go.
No, take it
All
easy,
right,
man.
well, let's just say Marcellus goes, okay, I'm out, and then just leaves.
But I'm gonna be back though. They had a lot of free shit up in here.
All right, So, as sad as that loss is, so yeah, so you've made that initial investigation, Roland, and Laura has caught up with you now.
Ambush.
They're still here.
Pardon me a moment. And Roland is going to climb up to the roof.
Just on the wall outside.
I've got enough strength, athletics, and dexterity to probably nail this.
Out of curiosity, what is your athletics?
3.
Yep. Yeah, that's plenty. You find enough, handholds on these old buildings with their updated safety features to make it up to the roof, and your note's the right one because it's the kind of the direction of the kerosene drops, which have mostly evaporated by this point, but this smell has lingered. And up on the roof, you are also able to discern where the attacker was probably standing, and that you've got to almost, you notice another scent, another very strong scent. You've got to get almost down next to the rough roofing to really pick it out, but it's a smell almost like ammonia. It's a kind of ammonia.
Do I recognize this scent from anybody else that was maybe at court?
No one at court. Give me let me ask you this. What is your intelligence?
His intelligence is 2.
2. What is your academics?
1.
And what is your medicine?
Also 1.
Roll 3 dice. Difficulty, this would not be easy. Difficulty 8.
Uno.
Okay. Yeah, even with that good difficulty, it smells like something you might find used as an antiseptic.
All right.
And
is there anything else they've left behind?
no, they haven't left the flare gun. I don't believe flares have like casings, right?
Well, it would have burnt out on the ground.
Yeah.
Shot out there. So you still would have had the shell, the empty shell of it after
Okay.
it burned out.
Then you do find that, yes.
If it was in a gun, it means it probably has a print on the back of it.
Here's to hoping.
But nothing else, no tank of kerosene or anything like that.
No, it looks like. So there are 2 ways to handle this. I can give you a roll to point out things that Roland might be able to figure out from the clues he's got, or I can leave that to your own devices as a player. It's up to you.
Well, I mean, let's go and I think I have a couple of questions for the survivor of this before that, but I'm sure Laura also has something that she wants to say.
Mm-hmm. She has not come up with you, and when you look back down, she is on the phone.
I'm listening in.
You know what? I'm not gonna. I know you've got heightened senses, so we're not gonna make this a roll because this is a good, fun little opportunity here. When you begin listening in, she says, She names the alley that you're in, and says, about halfway down, you can't fucking miss it, there's a charred body. No, not one of your ghouls. You need to handle this. I don't know. Frankly, I'm not sure the girl didn't do it herself. Fine. Fast, Provo. She hangs up.
I'll climb back down and make it seem like I haven't been listening in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, clearly an ambush. Marine flare shot from a flare gun right after dousing them in kerosene. Went up like a bonfire. Had no chance.
Mm. I've
What are we doing
I've alerted Provo. Someone should be here to clean this up soon. Are we sure it was Joan?
You have to ask the victim, the survivor. She was just dust when I got here.
We shouldn't linger any longer then, shall we?
Roland grabs his coat.
Anais and Marie, are you still in the park? Perhaps at a different part of the park, or what have you done in the intervening time?
Let's just say how about we're at a playground in the park and on the swings maybe, or on a jungle gym or a bench right there, and I'm trying to like calm her down, comfort her, that sort of thing.
Be comforting. Oh.
Mm-hmm. Now, look, Ma Cherie, we need to. Gird our loins. They're gonna have questions for you. Okay. Now, do you want me to answer them at first, or do you want to face them right now? Because we're not going to be alone for much longer.
I'll just answer them myself. I'll be fine.
All right. This might be linked. I don't know if it is, but it probably is linked to the recent raid. The fact that a representative, a primogen, I believe, from another court, died in the domain of the Prince of Bordeaux is going to get out. So I wouldn't be entirely shocked if it wasn't, in fact, a Sabbat, but a member of the self-proclaimed Prince of France. Are you planning on returning to Toulouse?
And I just, confused about everything. She's been basically a foster child for 3 years at this point. She just doesn't know, but she says, I don't know, maybe.
You can stay with me if you like. I have a very comfortable domain of my own.
That's very kind of you. I'll keep you in my thoughts if I need any place to stay.
My haven is very, very comfortable. And you won't feel alone there.
I'm sure it is. But I'll probably just be fine on my own. I have my own estate, so thanks for the offer if I ever need anything.
Of course.
And Roland and Laure return to the park.
Well,
who knew you were going that way?
What do you mean?
Who knew the two of you were going that way?
I still don't know what you mean. We were just walking.
That was a hit. That was not a random act. that was an ambush calculated to attack a vampire that went down that alley. So who knew you were going that way?
I have no idea. This night has been just so stressful for me and anxious for me. I was not thinking of anything at that point. That's just going to bed.
Using a softer tone, sir? Do you mind using a softer tone, sir? I have just calmed her down.
I don't have time for this. We just had someone get assassinated.
Is there any sign that it was Sabbat?
There's no sign that it was anyone specifically. All I know is that it was carefully coordinated, which meant that they knew they were coming.
I can think of two groups who might have definitely been behind it. It's not good that a prominent member of the Toulouse court just died within the domain of Prince Boyer.
No shit. That's why we're trying to unravel it as soon as we can, while the information is still fresh in our minds.
Well. Long coat, possibly with glasses. And a gun, and a flare gun. That's what I've been able to get out. But, sorry. You said you wanted to speak, Anais. You should.
Mary pretty much explained it all. Look, I just want to go back home. You guys can figure it out. There's this.
Was anyone interested when you left court? Did anyone pay attention to you and Joan leaving?
I'm sure everybody did. Everybody was looking at me. I'm sure everybody was paying attention to me. You would have to look through the thousands of people who were there.
Just to clarify, it was not that many people, but it sure felt like it.
See, Anais doesn't care. She just
that's beautiful dialogue. That is absolutely what she says. I just want to make sure we all have a clear understanding of what also actually happened, more objectively.
She's traumatized. She doesn't know anymore.
Yeah. Laure says that it's being cleaned up. Provost is good at covering our tracks when necessary, but we should not linger here. Anais, do you have a haven for the day?
I have my apartment set up for me and Joan and for however long.
Are we sure it's going to be safe? Because this person, whoever ambushed them, knew which way they were going. It's not a stretch to think that they might know where you were eventually headed. I'm just concerned.
Yes, that is correct. I'm thinking about it. That is correct. Then I don't really have anywhere to go. Then
yes, you do.
Every time I move somewhere and think it's safe, it's never safe.
So I'm just going to clarify a few details here. Anais, Joan had arranged for you both to stay at a hotel, but you do still have an apartment in town. There was no reason for you to ever, let go of the lease. So.
All right, then. So, yes, I have a hotel, but I don't know anymore. Everybody is after me for some reason. I have nowhere to go at this point.
Yes, you do. No one in this town knows who I am. Trust me. You're coming home with me.
And Laure says, as counterintuitive as that might seem, there's some wisdom there.
Laure, we need to get to the bottom of quite a few things here. The danger is ramping up, if you can't see it. So we need leads, and we need them now. Because apparently there's no one in this blasted court who can really act. So I guess it's going to be up to us.
Strong words. I'll reach out to some friends, see what I can dig up for evidence regarding the raid.
Good. Anyone we can speak to in the meantime?
Regarding
Anyone suspicious?
suspicions. Well, it is reasonable to suspect that someone in the court was involved. Who it was, I'm not entirely sure. If there was anyone who wished to support the Sabbat, it may have been someone named Mark. He's a Bruja. Not very well liked. He speaks his mind, and his mind is hateful.
Interesting.
If it were simply someone who wished to harm Oye or the court at large, there is a member of the Giovanni clan in town. Her name is Caterina.
You allowed a Giovanni in a realm that you want to keep independent.
They do style themselves independents. Therefore, I suppose there's somewhat. Yes. The Giovanni have crossed swords in the most strictly financial sense with Prince Boyer in the past. I would suspect that if they were also fairly summarily ousted from town. She is the remnant of their presence here. If they were attempting to gain a foothold again, she would be their agent.
Any chance that any signs of possible necromancy involved in the raid?
Not that have been discerned.
All right, I'm going to want to take a look at that scene then. Alone. Or with my fellow investigators, but without a crowd is my point.
If you...
I'm definitely going to want to interrogate her.
If you are interested in pursuing that angle, there's another toreador. His name is Adrien, and without going into great detail, he, we believe, spent some time in Italy with the Giovanni. You might look him up, although he is generally persona non grata at court.
So we got a persona non grata Giovanni and a persona non grata toreador who's friendly with his Giovanni.
Yes. And Mark.
Okay,
then.
And
I don't know what the Setites would have had to gain, but...
And a Bruja who is hateful. A Bruja who is hateful. What kind of hateful is he, by the way? Is it political?
It's everything. It's everything. Doesn't like anyone who's not French, and by French he means a white man.
All right. I look at Roland and I go, you might want to. You're not French, but you are a white man. You might want to take a look at this.
I doubt he'll talk to anyone else.
Mm.
Well, if the man thing is important, I'm white, but I'm clearly not a man, so.
Laura actually gets a look on her face. She says, but you play the part of a woman very well.
I try.
You might be able to use that to your advantage with Mark.
very much interested. That's very interesting to me. Well, one way or another, I'm very good at interrogating people.
I pull Anais aside for a second. I know this is difficult. What hotel was Joan staying at?
She didn't say anything to me. It was just a hotel, probably near.
You do know the name.
Oh yeah.
It was the Revel or the Revel.
Okay. It was the.
I'll see if I can't have someone check the night auditor there. See if we can't see if your house or the hotel room was under observation, or if people were asking around, perhaps looking after you. We'll see if we can't figure this out.
Thank you.
Darling,
This is the nicest you've ever seen Roland.
and I suspect this is the nicest we're going to see him. Darling, here's the thing. Not that I am ashamed of you or anything like that, but you are going to be staying with me, but you need to keep it quiet that you are, especially if I'm going to be interrogating some French nationalist racist piece of shit. So, and also, we want your whereabouts to not be publicly known. We're going to have to use a little bit of subterfuge, but you are going to be staying with me. And that's fine? Good. Well then, I think it's time that we adjourn. She needs to, I have a lot to ruminate upon. Madam Norval, thank you for this little audience. We'll pursue the leads you gave us.
If there's anything I can do to assist in showing the Sabbat the gate that you come across, I would appreciate some notice. I would appreciate you contacting me.
Of course.
And Roland, you know that thing that just passed over Laura's face, and it is a desire to not just shed blood, but rend flesh and break bones.
Speaking my language.
I noticed that too, I think. And I'm very pleased
Actually, yeah.
to see it.
Yeah, it'd be very reasonable to think that your character would know that expression.
Mm-hmm.
With that, though, looking at the time, gentle viewers, we must bid you all adieu. And we will be back in 2 weeks to continue this story of delight.
Mm-hmm.
Till then, bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Wow.
All right, I'm going to end